Hey everybody, welcome back, and also welcome to my first video of 2022. I wanted to upload something sooner, but I was like, oh, do I really want to do another Sam and Max video for the new year? Do I want to try and do something else? But then I couldn't think of anything else to do, so here we are with another Sam and Max video. But yeah, I guess, am I halfway through the series at this point? I think I must be. I think I'm halfway through it. But anyway, long story short, I'll just get into the plot summary and then I'll talk about it. This was definitely an episode which I was not looking forward to rewatching. I remember on my first time around I really wasn't feeling it with this one, and I think it's done sort of a disservice by the fact that it also comes directly after my favorite episode of the series, which is the Christmas episode, Christmas Bloody Christmas. With that said, this episode wasn't as difficult to get through as I remember it being. It's well-paced enough. I often talk about the balance between sort of having enough plot to get through the episode without making things feel thin with this show, and I think this episode actually did a pretty good job of keeping things moving throughout its runtime. It never feels like we're stuck on one thing for too long. I felt like they really knew how long to focus on something before moving on to the next story beat in this. With that said, I'm still just not jiving with the humor. So this episode begins with Sam and Max tuning into some TV, and their TV breaks or whatever, so they go down to the geek's lab to try and use her TV, but it's an experiment sort of gone wrong, and they accidentally bring like a TV character from the past to life who's like this marionette doll or whatever, and he's like super pure and everything, and he sees how horrible the world is, and then later on the evil version of him comes out of the TV, and so they have to stop him, so they suck him back into the TV, and the good marionette doll comes back to save the day, and they get sucked back into the TV, and that's the episode. So yeah, as far as Sam and Max plots go, pretty standard, I'd say. Ridiculous for any other show, maybe. The thing which really stuck out for me in this rewatch, which really sort of helped not save this episode, because I still am the biggest fan of it. I just don't think the humor lands as particularly well as other episodes. I also just don't think the premise is that interesting or exciting. Maybe if it had a lot of really good humor it could have been, but it's just a whatever sort of premise, you know what I mean? But the main thing which really saved this episode for me is that immediately after the TV marionette character comes to life and is like, wow, gosh, God, this is just so amazing, or so happy, Sam and Max's first reaction is to, their immediate first instinct is to attempt to murder it. And I love that. They literally, without saying it, they're like, well, only one thing we can do, and they pull out weaponry and just try to kill it. And that's one of the funniest, just perfect things for them, is that they just immediately try to kill. And then later on, when they're showing the character, the marionette character, the city, they don't care about him at all. He approaches a gang and gets beat up, and they don't try and intervene at all. They're just yeah, whatever. This is the one piece of comedy in this episode that I absolutely am living for. It's so, I don't even know, but it's so Sam and Max to me that they bring this character to life and they're just yeah. they're apathetic, or they're apathetic at best and violent at worst, but it's so perfect because as someone who doesn't like this episode that much, it really sort of raised it in my estimations. Just seeing Sam and Max characterized like this, I find it really charming and funny. But aside from that, there really wasn't much I was crazy about in this episode. The humor is just whatever. It's very, I think, television-based humor has sort of, and when I say television-based humor, I mean it in the most literal sense, where we have characters where comedy within a show or film revolves or relates to TV as a medium. I think we are beginning to feel that that sort of comedy is becoming dated, because now in the age of streaming services, you don't need to catch your favorite show on time or worry about missing it or have to sit through reruns of older shows that you're not interested in. We can just watch what we feel like whenever we feel like it. And so, like, seeing characters have to worry about getting home on time to watch something or missing their show or something like that, which is sort of the impetus for this episode, feels very quaint by comparison to what we have today. And so I don't think it's something which is horribly dated, because I did grow up in that era before streaming services, but I'm wondering like how long it's gonna be before kids today are just like, what's I don't get it, you know? Because like TV feels, I can't even remember the last time I actually tuned in specifically to watch a TV show on a channel that was happening live. Like, everything I watch is like via a streaming service or via, like, I do like physical media though. This is turning into a huge tangent. I went into this huge tangent about the changing media landscape from this one impetus, this joke that begins the episode about the TV anyway. But that's my thought on that, because it feels, when I was a kid I don't think it would have felt too dated, but nowadays it does sort of feel like it's from an older era, which is weird, especially considering that so much of this episode is focused on the past of television, which is now even more the past of television. But I'm done with that because that tangent has gone on for too long. But yeah, so that's my thoughts on this episode. I do not care for it. It just wasn't for me. I didn't find much of the humor to work, really. As said earlier, I do like how Sam and Max's first instinct is just murder, but other than that, I just wasn't too crazy about it, and I don't know what else to say besides that. So yeah, let me know what you think of this episode down in the comments below. If you've seen it, of course, you can't really let me know your thoughts on it if you haven't seen it. I'd be interested to know, because I don't know what the consensus is for any of these episodes. I could be giving wildly unpopular opinions or the most common opinions, and I literally don't know, because unlike other franchises where they have these massive fandoms, Sam and Max is really small, and so you don't really hear consensus opinions on things that often when it comes to, you know, reputations on episodes, unlike with other shows. So I am genuinely interested to hear people's thoughts in the comments on these episodes. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. Thank you for watching. Feel free to like or dislike, I don't care. Well, I do care. I don't... If you dislike, I will not be angry with you. Feel free to choose either. Subscribe if you want more Sam and Max content, as well as my other reviews and videos, because I'm going into 2022 now with more videos as I did before, because that's what YouTubers do. I'm just rambling again. But yeah, that's all I got. So thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you have a lovely day.